And welcome into Hockey Sense, everybody. How are we doing today? Welcome into the show. Hockey season is here. That's a great thing. Lots to get into here on this edition. As always, Hockey Sense brought to you by First Community, firstcommunity.com. Get your home loan, get your auto loan. Great deals for first-time home buyers, and some incredible auto loans out there as well. You get the same rate no matter if it's a new car or a used car. I mean, how many banks will give you that? Not many. There aren't many who do that. Same loan, same rate, whether it's a new car or a used car. You don't see that too often. First Community brings us Hockey Sense. Cam Janssen's going to join me on this edition of Hockey Sense. He is my guest once again. I've had him on before on Hockey Sense since we moved here to Half Coast Studios, so I'm looking forward to our conversation. We'll get into a number of different things and certainly have some fun along the way. So thanks for joining us. As always, welcome into Hockey Sense. Tell your friends, tell everybody. We'll be here all season long, live from Half Coast Studios, doing our thing. Blues on the ice yesterday for the first day of training camp. So today's Friday. Thursday's the first day on the ice. No big surprises. If you listen to Cam and Strick, we talked about Buchnevich most likely to start the season as center, or certainly start training camp as center, and then we'll see where that goes. I wasn't sure if Schenn was going to be pushed over to the wing or what the thought process was going to be there. He's actually playing on a line right now with Dalibor Dvorsky, and I think the reasoning makes a ton of sense when you listen to head coach Drew Bannister talking about Dvorsky being a natural center. The last thing you want to do is just have him try to make a push to make the team playing in a position that he may not be as comfortable playing in. So he is a natural center. If it doesn't work right now, it's all good, man. You send him down to the minors and you bring him back up. I'll talk about this with Cam, but, Doug Armstrong, who joined us recently, the GM of the Blues, he talked about how in the past maybe he's kept guys a little bit too soon out of training camp, and then maybe it doesn't go well the first month of the season, and you end up sending them down. And that's a little bit of a different mental roadblock for a player to deal with versus going down out of camp and then coming back up shortly after the season begins. So we'll see what they do with Dvorsky. I think Bolduc would have the inside edge only because of his experience playing some games last year. He's a year older than Dvorsky. And he's playing with Kyrou and Thomas right now, which I love that. And we'll see how that looks. There's got to be a surprise or two. I know there's a lot of bodies and there's a lot of competition, and we've talked about that. But there is going to be a surprise or two in terms of how this all plays out and who plays with who. I always look at pairings, during the course of a training camp, but not just defensive pairings, but and probably more so the pairings up front, because the deep pairings can sometimes look scrambled. Although you've got Broberg with Falk, I think that's a real pairing. Kessel with Ryan Suter, I think that's a real pairing. Nicoletti, I think, is actually being paired right now with Pierre-Olivier Joseph, POJ, baby. I think Joseph maybe has the inside track to be here coming out of camp, but you never know because you still have a Scotty Perunovich who's playing with Parayko. Do the Blues keep 8D? I think that's a good possibility. You got to factor in waivers and all of that. You don't want to lose players to waivers coming out of training camp, and sometimes that's the best time to sneak a player through. Rosters are full, players are healthy, teams certainly being up against the cap makes it a little bit easier to send a player through waivers, maybe sneak them through coming right out of training camp, but we'll see how that plays out. It's interesting hearing from Bannister yesterday talking about Perunovich. Listen, he's throwing his name out there as a potential PP1 quarterback. I just don't know if he fits into their top six. Now, he could be the PP1 if they dress 7 defensemen, go with 11 forwards. Is that something they want to do right off the bat? I don't know. I wouldn't think so, but again, anything is possible. I would think Falk gets the first opportunity. I talked about this on Cam and Strick, just because, again, experience. He hasn't really had that role since he's come to St. Louis, but he did in Carolina, and he was very good at it. There was a 3-year stretch where he scored 15 or more goals, I think, for 3 consecutive years, and when he was one of the most highly productive defensemen, power play defensemen in terms of production in the league. We're going back several years now, but I still think he could do it. Broberg, I think, is the future power play quarterback for the Blues, talking about Philip Broberg, who the Blues just brought over from Edmonton. But I'm not so sure they want to throw that on him immediately right off the bat. So does that mean he jumps on the second unit? Does that mean Perunovich jumps on the second unit and Broberg has to wait his time before he gets some power play time. I don't know. I would think Broberg will get some opportunities to quarterback the power play. And this is where the preseason games will be interesting. I don't read too much into preseason early on because the rosters that you play against are not typically very strong in the early going, especially if you have a home game. The visiting team won't necessarily send their big dogs early in preseason. I always like to wait until you get to the final 30. You trim the roster down to 30, and then you start to see the temperature get turned up in terms of training camps and what they look like across the board in the NHL. And those preseason games become more competitive. They resemble NHL rosters, and you get the bigger, more competitive players, going toe to toe in preseason. Sometimes that doesn't happen until the fourth or fifth game of the preseason. So the first 3 or 4 games of the preseason, you look at the rosters, you get some guys playing junior, you get some guys who they want to, reward and give them a game or two who are going to be down in the American Hockey League, but give them some of those preseason games. You get those typically in the first 3 or 4 preseason games. And then you get to games 5 and 6 or 4, 5, and 6, and that's when you start getting down to business before you get to game 7, where, again, call some players back up who were sent down, get them in the lineup, and then get ready to go. Because after the Blues' final preseason game, which I think is on a Saturday, I think they leave for Utah the next day, or not Utah, Seattle the next day, or the day after that. It's a quick turnaround before they play their season opener. When you look at their first regular season game versus the last preseason game. So, again, you may have just 2 games where you really see guys have an opportunity to truly showcase themselves. Every day is a showcase. I've always been of the belief that, hey, the teams and players, they make the team in the preseason games more so versus practice. And I think that is typically the case. But I think with so many players competing for spots, I think this training camp's a little bit different from that standpoint. I think that players truly are showcasing themselves every single day in practice. Can you play your way onto the team in practice? I think you could. Can you play your way off the team with your practice habits? Yeah, I think you can. So you got to back it up in the preseason games. You can't be just a great performer or have a great showing in the practices and then lay an egg in the preseason game. So they go hand in hand, but I think practice certainly means something. I like the battle drills. I like the competitive drills. The pace of practice yesterday, first day camp, was exceptional. I thought Drew Bannister had firm control, command on the ice in his first NHL training camp as a head coach, which is what you want to see. I think some people are just have this perception of him that I don't think is all that accurate, for the most part, because he doesn't have a whole lot of experience coaching at the NHL level. But he's got a lot of experience coaching and a lot of success coaching. He had success in the Ontario League. He had success in the American League, where he took a team to the final a couple of years ago. He's helped develop a lot of guys who have found their way onto the NHL roster here in St. Louis, and he's been doing it for a long time. He played in the NHL. He was a second-round pick in the NHL. Didn't have a long playing career, but he played. He's not like a guy who didn't play. So don't be so quick to judge Drew Bannister because he's not the loudest coach. He doesn't play grab ass with the media. He's not trying to put on a show in front of the cameras. And I'm not saying the Blues have had those type of guys that are here, but, listen, some coaches are like that. Ken Hitchcock was a guy who liked to have fun with the media and play ball with the media. A lot of the top coaches are like that. I think Bannister just wants to get in and get out. Make his case, answer some questions, give you some updates, and then move on. And that's the reality of the situation with Drew Bannister. But I like the coaching staff. You got Claude Julien, obviously, and Mikey Weber does a good job on the board. I think explaining some drills. He's getting more and more experience coaching. And Steve Ott is too, man. Steve Ott has great presence on the ice. I've been on the ice with both those guys, Weber and Ott, with youth hockey teams in terms of them running practices and stuff. And it's not the NHL and it's youth hockey, but still you get a sense for who they are on the ice and how they communicate. The Blues are in good hands with their coaching staff. They're in great hands with their goaltending. Man, Binnington and Hofer, I don't think people realize what they have from a tandem standpoint and what a difference that's going to be able to make, I think, by having two guys that can win on any given night and can certainly get hot and are capable of carrying the ball for an extended period of time. That's the one thing about Joel Hofer. You know, Cam, he made fun of me last year heading into camp and throughout the summer because I was pumping Joel Hofer's tires left and right. And I was saying exactly what I just said, that if Binnington were to struggle, this guy is capable of winning games against good teams and carrying the ball for an extended period of time if needed. Now, Binnington was fantastic last year, so, you had both guys going. And, Binnington was obviously, cemented himself. Not that he hadn't already coming into the season, but there's no reason to, have any type of controversy by any means. I think Binnington's play speaks for itself, and he cemented himself as not only the number one goalie here with his play last season, but obviously being one of the top starting goaltenders in the NHL. So, I will say this, not to get too corny, but the Blues bring in different faces, and we all know there's a lot of different players that have found their way here to St. Louis. Guys like Matthew Joseph, who we had on Hockey Sense last week. Well, these are all great people. I mean, you see Dylan Holloway, who was on Hockey Sense a couple of weeks ago. Great interview with him. Broberg's a good guy. Faksa, unbelievable guy. My conversations with him have been fantastic. He's a veteran guy who just gets it and still very confident that he can play at a high level. It's a big year for him. I think it's a contract year for Radek Faksa. So I think he'll have an impact. The one player I'm most excited to see, to be honest with you, there's two guys, is Texier, Alexander Texier, who was in Columbus. We'll see what he can bring to the table. A lot of people speak really highly of him. And Ryan Suter, who is certainly at the tail end of his career, but people who watched him closely last year, and obviously we saw Dallas play a lot. I mean, there's no signs of him necessarily slowing down. He's not the 28, 29, 30-minute-a-night guy that he was, throughout the bulk of his career and throughout the prime of his career, but the Blues don't need him to be. They're not asking him to be that guy. But can he be a guy that you can count on every night? Here's another guy who's played some power play, a lot of power play over the course of his career. Won't be needed most likely here in St. Louis, but again, you have that depth if you have to go there on the power play. But, Suter, listen, he's going to bring a veteran presence that maybe is lacking a little bit. They've got other veterans, guys like Nick Leddy and Justin Falk and, Braden Shen and a lot of these guys who have been around for a long time. But Ryan Suter's veteran experience and his presence is certainly even different than those guys when you talk about him approaching 1,500 games, which is just absolutely insane. So we'll dig into the Blues. We've got lots to talk about with Cam Janssen. We'll do that coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Of course, I mentioned First Community. Again, firstcommunity.com. Ask about these the home loans, the first-time advantages for first-time buyers. The auto loans where you get the same rate no matter if it's a new car or a used car, which is very unusual. You look at First Community being one of the best places in St. Louis to work. They've gotten recognized for that like 12 years in a row, so there's no accident there. So First Community, firstcommunity.com brings us Hockey Sense each and every week live from Half Coast Studios. And they also bring you the Little Blues program. So if you're looking to get your son or daughter involved in hockey, check out Little Blues. It's the best program out there. I did it with my son. And most kids that I know who have now developed into hockey players at a young age, all got their start with Little Blues. Why wouldn't you? You get all your equipment. It's included in the price. Very small price. Great instruction. 6 ice times. You can do multiple sessions. And again, it's for kids ages 4 through 9. If you don't know how to skate, or if you've only skated a couple times, this is a perfect program for you. Nobody cares. Nobody's judging you when you're out there at Little Blues. So again, sign up today. The Blues do a great job with that. Randy Gershon Company, along with the great people over at First Community. Dirt Cheap Fun Fun, your one-stop party shop, baby. Love our friends over there at Dirt Cheap. So check that out. Dirt Cheap Fun Fun, your one-stop party shop. Don't sleep on their all their fantastic party goods, man. All the paper goods that they have. They are the best. And check out Dirt Cheap Fun Fun, your one-stop party shop. Again, locally owned by the Wallace family. Love our friends over at Dirt Cheap. Four Hands Brewing Company. Hey, that Cam and Strick Mango Lemonade back on the shelf September 24th. It's coming. Cam and I are going to have some live tastings, so hope to see all of you out there when we announce those dates and where we're going to be when you can come check out and taste the Mango Lemonade. Cam and Strick Hard Seltzer, baby. It's got that matte black can. You can't miss it. Blues colors on it. Perfect drink for the upcoming hockey season. 314 Sports Cards, baby. Devin Sant and Company. Nobody does it better than them. Devin Sant, this guy, all this guy does is bring the best quality and the best card collection to St. Louis. The best hockey card shop you'll ever find, man. People tell me it's the best hockey card shop that they've ever seen. Best in North America. If you're looking for a card, an individual card, maybe you want a pack, maybe you want a box, they got everything for you. Not all places have the individual cards. Very few do. But you can just have your son or daughter just scroll through all the individual cards, pick one up today. 9640 Olive Boulevard, baby, in Olivet, 314 Sports Cards. Devin Sant, it's my main man. It's the best. So check that out. Tell him I sent you. Customer service, the absolute best. They have player signings and all this type of stuff going on over there as well. Lordo's Diamonds, lordosdiamonds.com, right there in the heart of Ladue. Can't miss it. Been around for almost 70 years, lordosdiamonds.com. Mike and Jimmy, give them a shout out. Tell them you heard me talking about them here on Hockey Sense. If you're looking to pop the question, no better place to get that engagement ring for Mike and Jimmy Lordo. Get that special someone in your life something special this holiday season, right around the corner. Now's a great time to start looking at rings and start thinking about it. So do it today. All right, Cam Janssen, he's joining me next. This is Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. Great to have you here live at Half Coast Studios. I'm Andy Strickland. Thanks for hanging out as always. Don't go anywhere. I'm trying to do Hockey Sense, and I'm trying to get my thoughts together, and I'm trying to
It's hard.
bring quality hockey talk to people, although like people are getting mad at me yesterday for our takes on Cam and Strick.
Whatever.
I'm getting text messages.
That's petty. That's petty stuff.
I'm just trying to have fun.
We can't predict if somebody's good or not.
I don't hate anybody or
No.
want anybody to fail. Speaking about teams, not even individuals. I want everyone to have success.
We can't have an opinion. Doesn't everybody have an opinion? Every single training camp, you got everybody coming out and saying, I think this team's going to be solid. I think this team's not going to be solid. I think this team's going to be here. They were here last year, blah, blah, blah. Everybody gives their own opinion. But like to get rattled about that when it really means nothing is odd to me.
Well, and let me just say this. When I give an opinion on Toronto, I'm not doing it for clicks or to get attention. They just get so much attention. They're such a loud team that's why you talk about them.
Don't listen to it.
You know what I'm saying? But that's why you talk about them, because everybody else talks about them too much.
Yeah. They're the big boys.
Including the Canadian media. They talk about Toronto way too much. You think they ever talked about Florida really going into last season? Not much.
No, I agree with that.
Not much, even though everyone knew that they were going to be a heavyweight and a true contender after losing in the final the year before. You don't hear about Minnesota. Could be one of the best teams in the league. You wouldn't be hearing about Minnesota.
I know.
You know,
and that's up north. Too.
And St. Louis could be one of the best teams in the league, and you wouldn't hear about them. And I get it. It's just the way it goes. Toronto, that's where the hub is with all the big media, and they're going to get a lot of attention. But because of that, people are going to talk about them.
What about Colorado?
And south of the
Do
border.
they get a lot of attention? Did they get a lot of attention with the big dogs they have?
I think they did, but
in the 90s, I feel like they did.
Oh, in the 90s, yeah.
I feel like in the 90s,
them in Detroit.
They were gigantic.
Yeah.
So, and they won, and they got superstars.
But gigantic, but it was different because there was no social media at the time.
Yeah.
And so, how you define gigantic, I don't know. Everyone knew who Forsberg and Sakic were. And
being a kid from St. Louis, like, I just remember seeing just like highlights and I saw Colorado Avalanche jerseys everywhere.
But as a kid, though, I felt like Dallas got a lot of attention.
I didn't.
When Brett Hall got there and they were winning, and Hatcher.
Was that as a kid?
Madonna.
The 1 year, and even then,
dude, they got a lot of attention when Hitch was there. When Madonna was doing his thing, and Hitch
Oh,
was
they were
there,
awesome.
and Neuendijk and Hull and Belfour. They got a lot of attention. Chicago got some attention back in the day.
Early 90s.
Belfour
They had a
and
movie
Roenick
out
and
with
Savard and
Jean-Claude
all these
Van
guys.
Damme. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
they got attention.
And
Chelios was loud.
they would get Saturday Night Live with the Belushi brothers and all. They got a lot of attention.
Yeah. Yeah, Chicago. You know what I mean? I don't remember Dallas.
Chicago.
As a kid.
Can you do a
Chicago? Damn good food up there, just so all y'all know.
Polish sausage? It's not that good.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a deep dish, baby.
What if you
Damn good.
were on a date and
she crushed the whole deep dish? And I'm like, oh, God.
or Polish sausage
She's just crushing food.
and then poutine to go with it?
I'd be like, let's hang out tomorrow.
Careful what you say, though.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
And we're not on the pod. We're on Andy's show
Just be
now.
careful what you say.
I'm being good, dude.
Mhm. It was a
You
fair
know?
question to ask.
I'm just saying.
Hey, I was out of camp yesterday. I just love it.
I know.
I love training camp. I love being out there.
Gives me nerves thinking about
You
it.
know, I look at these kids, though. I will say this, and everyone focuses on, like, the best players. I try to watch the players that you're not going to see throughout the course of the season, the guys who are going to be in the American League. So when they do come up, you know, you just kind of have a feel for who they are. And I like to see what they bring to the table. But I'm also wondering what's going on between the ears and what they're thinking. Like, some of these guys who know they're not going to make the team, but they're just kind of, are they living in the moment, Cam? Are they living the dream? Like, you know, they're in an NHL camp. Are they just loving it?
They're getting per diem every day. They got they got cash. You have a good day. Here, it's a roller coaster ride. You know, when you're on the bubble like that, and, you know, there's different categories. You know, these young kids, they're going to go 100 miles an hour every single day. The veterans have been doing this for, just like Army said, 7 to 8 years. They're going to come in coasting a little bit. They're going to feel out what their body's like, this, that, and the other. They know they're secure. But everybody else right now, yeah, man, like, you're collecting your check. You're hanging out with all these guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you have a good day. You're cruising around. You go eat with the boys. You're like, yeah, you're happy.
Mm-hmm.
You have a bad day. Now you're thinking about that all day long. Then you see a kid that you're competing against. You're a center, you're a right wing, whatever it is. He has a good day. You have a bad day. You're just thinking about that thing. So it's a roller coaster
you
ride.
think the big dogs interact with the kid who is
No, not really. It depends. When I play for the Devils, Lou would separate all of us.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a minor leaguer, you're a young junior kid. You're
not dressing in the main room, and
I agree with that.
That's across the board.
No, it's not.
Oh, I think most places.
No, you're wrong. Because I don't know, but right when I remember doing that in training camp for years with the Devils, right when I got to the Blues, I'm literally sitting next to an 18-year-old kid that wasn't even drafted in the same room with Keith Kachuk, and not me, doesn't matter about me, but like Walt was in there and stuff. So like, wow, they don't separate.
I see guys in secondary rooms, though.
I'm just saying. I just remember seeing
Andy Murray when he was here, for example. If it would be like a Bull Duke who played some games last year, because like David Backes came in, highly thought of, finished the season, played some games, and
he overachieved.
They had him dress. No, to prove a point. Like, hey, you got to go make the team. Then you can dress in the big room.
I completely remember the opposite of that.
Oh, Andy did that all.
When I came to training camp with the Blues, I swear to you, I remember that, and it's stuck in my head. I'm like, wow, you got all these young kids sitting next to Walt in Korea and stuff.
Andy had these guys getting dressed in the laundry room.
Some guys maybe to make a point or whatnot.
It's just Cam. It was. I'm just telling you because I remember like
room.
I'd go in there and talk to guys
in the cell.
Yeah,
Mills.
And it was like if that was their group, that whole group was getting dressed over there. You know, it's
I don't know.
It's like when Chris Pronger. Listen, I remember Chris Pronger getting traded to Edmonton before he became an Instagram star.
Oh my God, with his shirt off.
And I taught. It was like 11 o'clock at night when I taught. I mean, this is before Twitter and all that. When he told me he was going to Edmonton or whatever, and all the news was breaking, and so I wanted to do an interview with him right away. So he said, "Meet me at the Mills, 7 a.m. to do the interview." I think I told you this story before because then the recording got the recording got messed up, and I called him that afternoon. I was like, "Dude, I got to come back the next day and do it again."
He don't like that.
And he was like, "I got a family." He threw that line at me.
Everybody's got a family.
I know. So, but of course he did it. And the second interview was even better than the first one, so it was all good.
He was mad.
But he had just got traded. Now, this is a guy who now his jersey's hanging from the rafters. Yeah. He was a Hart Trophy winner, a Norris Trophy winner, one of the most popular players in the league, and a top 5 player in the league at the time. He was dressing in the referee room They took all his stuff out of the locker room, dressing in the referee room.
Yeah.
The next day, he wasn't on the team anymore.
Well, yeah.
And I remember saying to Larry, God, why are you doing that? And he was like, that's just the way it goes. And I didn't realize at the time, it's the first introduction to it that I had, that is the way it goes.
Yeah.
You know?
I know.
I think Army's a little more like forgiving with some of that stuff. Like I think when Matthew Tkachuk and Patrick Maroon, like if those guys are skating with the Blues in the summer, I don't think he makes those guys skate or dress in like a hallway locker room. I think he lets those guys go into the room.
I would say if I was a GM, I would let those guys all the time. And the Blues are really good with me when I was young. I mean, I wasn't really established. They let me skate with the team. Of course, you sat in a different locker room and stuff like that. But you do that with some of the local guys that are around or some of the guys that, bled for you.
Mm-hmm.
Take care of them. That doesn't bother me. But in training camp, you got to separate there. Let the big boys be by each other.
Yeah.
The guys that have experience, the guys that have been in the league for a while. And then there's another sector, and then there's another sector.
Yeah, but there's 3 different groups, so you're with your group pretty much the entire time. Anyway.
Yeah, so they're all getting,
yeah. You know what I mean?
This might be like the early.
You're
all different.
You're lifting with your group. You're doing the off ice with the group. You're on the ice with the group.
I just remember my first year training camp, not ever seeing the big boys, only when they're walking past you, only when they're skating before you, maybe a little bit here and there. And when you do and you have an interaction, you're like, holy cow, it was unique.
How much like lifting goes on during training camp? Are there workout sessions?
Yeah, God, yeah, baby.
I mean, I know there's strength testing,
right.
and they do testing. A lot of times the testing takes place before camp.
You're working out after games too.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, after preseason games, you're going in there. You got to ride the bike for 20 minutes, and you got to do at least 3 sets of this, that, the other.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, you're working out tons, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on the team.
Did you like to work out after a skate?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I loved Mike Vasilani from the Devils. Me and him had a really good relationship, and he was so hardcore.
He's the strength coach?
Yes, and he was loud, and he was strict.
He one of those type of strength coaches?
Oh, loud, strict. Guys didn't like him. The older guys didn't like because he was too much, but really? I did because he motivated me, and he was Lou's guy. So I just knew, like, I got to perform here because he's always talking to Lou. Like,
that's how strength coaches talk.
Yeah. He was hardcore. No water and thing. He's got all these different rules and stuff like that, but he got me strong as hell, man. Really, really did. But so there's a ton of workouts going on. Training, lifting. I saw Torts was bagging a guys. Carlo tweeted that out and stuff like that. He's like, I don't miss this. I'm thinking, like, I kind of do.
Mm-hmm. Listen, I like that Torts still does it.
Yeah. Bag him up.
You know what I mean? You got to have at least some old school coaches still left. And I'm not saying that I would want that if I was a player, that I'd want to be in a grueling training camp. But even the Blues yesterday, at the end of each skate, they did a lot of skating, and they had to go hard during the practices too. I said this before Cam came in when I had him waiting in the waiting room because I tell him,
summoned me.
I tell him I don't even go get him. I send Aiden to go get him.
Aiden, don't do that.
Aiden goes and gets him because that's the way it is in hockey sense.
Yeah.
You think Howard Stern goes out and gets his?
You're Howard Stern now. You're not the old Howard Stern. You're the current
Howard Stern now.
Dead to me.
Really?
Oh God.
You're down on Howard?
He's a nerd.
You think
he's everything he chirped back in the day when he was cool? That's exactly who he is now.
Did he get wokey woke?
Oh, he sucks.
Hollywood.
He's still pretty decent at interviews. He's always been good.
Cam would rather be talking about all the drama in Hollywood right now, but we're going to say
no. Man, there's hockey coming up, man. No.
Okay, so listen.
I look up everything.
So being at the rink yesterday, and there's always a rhyme or reason. Like it's very interesting, and I love the decision making that the team is showing right now because they could go in a different direction with a guy like Dvorsky, for example, who's trying to push for a spot, but they're saying, hey, if we're gonna really get a full read on this guy, we got to play him in the position that he's most comfortable playing in. You can't just say, well, maybe we can have him play wing, and we're just gonna see what he looks like on a wing. No. So they slide Shen over. They've got neighbors on that line too. That's my most exciting line to watch. We talked a lot about the Blues during Cam and Strick in terms of what to expect, and I think we were right on a lot of things. Buchnevich obviously starting off the season playing center. I wasn't sure if they were going to slide Shen over to the wing or not, but
it's all going to change.
That versatility is important if it means you kind of hang on to a top 6 role versus getting thrown down the lineup a little bit. Maybe your minutes reflect that. But Fox, I think they'd love for him to be the third-line center. They got Holloway playing with him. I always say in training camp, Cam, I always look at the twosomes that you see, like who are they putting with one another? It's not about the entire line. But when you have a Holloway with a Foxa, they want to see what that looks like.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like to see those. Those two big bodies, man. I'm excited. I really am.
Mm-hmm.
And Bucci playing center. It's a big topic here in St. Louis, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say I don't like it. It's probably his goal. His goals are probably going to decrease. But I say, like, put your best player in the best position, dude.
He plays like a center.
I want him battling in the D zone, winning position battles, and then kicking the puck up so your speedy wingers can go do things.
Mm-hmm.
Go back up. I want him in the most important situation because he's the best player on the ice.
Yeah. And if you feel like he's getting gassed or wearing down, then maybe you make an adjustment. And that's where you have a guy like Schenn who can always slide over to play center. Exactly. You got a lot of guys who can play center.
Yeah.
Even a guy like Holloway played center most of the time in the American League. You're in Edmonton. You're not gonna. They don't need you to play center.
No.
In Edmonton.
No.
So
this is going to be interesting, though, for all you Blues fans out there. You should be excited.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you should see the vision with the Blues.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you should see all these young kids. Like, I'm excited. Like, somebody's going to make, and there's going to be a kid too that we're not talking about now. That's going to do something, and they're like, "Who's this kid?"
Yeah,
it always happens.
And putting Bolduc with Thomas and Kyrou, I just like it.
Let's go.
You know what I mean?
Let's go.
Like,
go
you
figure it
drafted
out.
These guys in the first round, you got to get them here at some point.
No, go do it.
And you got other guys coming in the future. Let's start getting some of these guys here and start sprinkling them in.
Let's go.
I would have no problem if both those guys were to make the team, Dvorsky and Bolduc. Hey,
I know.
But again, what Army said to us a few weeks ago about, hey, you got to be careful. You'd rather like send them down and let them get some confidence and play big minutes and have a huge role versus it's tough, right? Up big here time. In the NHL for a young guy and this is Dvorsky's first ever NHL camp. He didn't play in the CHL before he came over last year after camp was over and after the season had started. So he's never been on an NHL camp before. So again, you got to pump the brakes a little bit and kind of let him find his way.
I'll tell you this, so that's why you're always going to evaluate these guys, but it's hard right now because, again, they're going to go 100 miles an hour. They can't just keep up with the pace. They really, really have to stick out to make this team. Mm-hmm. Like, really, really.
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about the young kids, Dvorsky, Bolduc, whoever. Like, they really have to stick out. Like, they're not going to be kicked down in the third, fourth line. So this is like either you're going to play top 6 minutes or you're not. So it's hard to evaluate. They might be flying around the first couple of weeks. Because you're not playing against a top 2 pair. We talked about that the other day. You're not. You get in that game 5, game 6 in preseason. That's where you're going to have Jamie Benn and all these other guys.
And
that really
you might like on a road game in the first couple of games of the preseason
because they want to pump up their team at home.
Because typically the home team will put in their better players.
But they really have to stick out.
But those players, even in the preseason, established NHLers, they're not ramping it up in the first couple of games.
Not at all. They don't want to get hurt. Honestly, that's when you get older. When you're young, you're like, let's just go 100 miles an hour. But when you get older, you're like, God, how do I do enough and not get avoid injury?
Do you think hockey should adopt more of a football mindset when it comes to preseason?
Football's so different. The football injuries, man, like it's just a different animal. I think you got to find your groove. Maybe with some of the other guys, like I play with guys, man, like I'd have to, season's over, I'm skating a week later. Like starting to skate just to have my hand. I just did that. Mm-hmm. Guys like Ilya Kovalchuk won't even look at their skates. August 15th rolls around, he puts them on, boom. It doesn't even matter. And, you still got to find your groove here and there. But I would say if a Suter to whoever, some of these older guys, like, I don't know. Everybody's different too. But yeah, you could take a puck right to the ankle, now you're out for a while. Like there's a lot. You get hit into the boards a little weird because some guy has no chance of making a team is going to do a little bit extra. Now things have changed a little bit and catches you weird or whatever. Because you do got guys going 100 miles an hour, then you got guys going 75 miles an hour.
See, there's different players who are in different situations. This kid Sam Bitten, who
Bitten,
and again, like he's not a threat to make the Blues, but I just like his demeanor. Like he's coming in, he's on a tryout, so that's the difference, Cam. Yeah. So they're doing these one-on-one battle drills, and he wants to kill the guy he's going with, right? Because
baby,
what he needs to do is different than the guy he's going against. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
The guy he's going against has a contract. Either you're pretty much either going to be on the NHL roster, or that you're going to be on the American League roster.
You're getting paid.
This guy is fighting to get a spot on the American League team.
Yeah.
Not for the NHL team. So, like, the way he was engaging in the battle drills, and like when the whistle would blow, he'd still get an extra slash in and just like look at it.
Watch that.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, he did that during the
not too much. Because there's a balance.
No, then he skates away. Like,
okay.
He knows.
Okay, I'm just asking.
And he knows that. Listen, he played in the American League last year too with Springfield, so he knows the guys he's battling against.
Yeah,
it's not going to hurt anybody or do anything crazy.
I know.
But like even in the prospect tournament and the games, he was just noticeable, and I think that's what you need to do when you're in his role. He's not going to get attention from the scouting staff or the coaching staff by going bar down on a one-timer on a 2-on-1 drill. You know what I'm saying? Or scoring a nice score. He might.
And they notice all that.
But you know what I'm saying? But he's going to get attention with his effort.
Yeah.
And
are you different?
Yeah.
Where can I slide you in at? Obviously, it's going to be the fourth line. Mm-hmm. Are you going to be more of a physical presence than maybe Toropchenko or whatnot? Like, that's a decision they're going to make. And I like that Toropchenko, too, man. He's going to be hard to beat out. He's got some work to do.
Well, he's not getting beat out.
Okay, well, there's some.
I've heard you're not the first person I've heard like. Listen, everybody's competing, but like,
I bet you he's still nervous. I bet you he's going in there like, I'm telling you, man, like somebody he knows he's competing with is going to have a game.
Well,
and he's gonna be like, what the hell is this?
Braden Shen told me on Wednesday morning, we were talking, and he said that Chris Pronger told him when he was a young kid coming into Philly that don't ever get comfortable because there is always somebody looking to push you out.
Yeah, dang right.
Even I think that was always Pronger's mentality.
Yes, even the big boys think that way too. Even if it's just attention or minutes or whatnot, they're all competing for different things. Like you said, Shinner is competing for a top 6 spot now. He is. And, all these other guys, like, Bucci to everybody, they all have their own thing. Like, I want to get more minutes on, power play or whatever the case is. So there's internal competition even with the big boys as well.
I don't think Shen minds playing wing. I think he prefers to play center. It's his natural position.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's a get in where you fit in, especially if you're playing wing and you're playing with better players too. Like, I think you'll take that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. If there's somebody else that could play center that, could be very responsible, and you're a guy that's kind of competing with them, I'd rather play wing. Mm-hmm. You get more opportunity. It's not as much stress in certain situations. Stopping and starting in your own zone is the most difficult thing in the world. You're chasing guys on one end to the other as a center. When you're a wing, you're just hanging out, like waiting, like kind of circling, waiting. It's a lot easier.
Well, and getting back to Buchnevich, I just think the mindset for the team is they know they have to be. You look at the division; they're in the most difficult division in hockey right now.
Yeah.
With Colorado and Dallas at the top, Cam, and Winnipeg is damn good, and Nashville, what they're doing, like
who knows with Chicago?
Well, I'm just saying. I just mentioned 4 pretty damn good ones, right?
Teams,
and you're trying to get in.
Yeah.
And you better be in a good spot, at minimum in your first 2 center positions. You know what I mean? And they feel pretty good, obviously, having Robert Thomas as their number 1 center. I think Thomas is going to push for a spot with Hockey Canada. He's not getting a whole lot of love up north of the border.
Got to do your thing then.
But 86 points last season. The GM of Hockey Canada happens to be the GM of St. Louis, and so he knows what he can bring to the table.
Yeah.
He'll do his thing. Listen, if the Blues have a power play that finishes in the top 12 this year, Thomas is going to have more than 90 points, and Kyrie's going to have 80 plus.
Yeah, and goals.
Because they're both going to be somewhere around 40, if not more than 40 points on the power play. And that's how you get. I mean, you look at Kucherov. Go look at Kucherov and McKinnon and McDavid and all these guys who finish with over 100 points every year. Look at how many power play points they have.
Yeah, dude.
They get a shit ton of power play points. And same with Matthew Tkachuk a couple years ago when that power play was rolling and he had over 100 points in back-to-back seasons. Look how many power points he had. And I never look at power play points as cheap points because they're not. You earn those points.
Of course.
But that's how you pad your stats and get to the impressive numbers. So if the Blues, like last year, I had to say top 12 because last year they were second to last in the league when Drew Bannister took over. Second to last in the league. I mean, that is terrible, right?
No, it's good.
And then when Bannister took over, from the time he took over until the rest of the season, I want to say they were like 13th in the league.
Yeah,
it's a big difference. And you saw Kyrou put up some numbers. He started scoring. Neighbors scoring on the power play. Oscar Sundqvist scored some power play goals. Thomas was scoring some power play goals.
Neighbors too. Yeah, I was going to say he had some dirty
ones.
So,
all of a sudden now you see guys, Neighbors finishes with 27 goals. Well, how does he do that? Well, he gets 8 goals on the power play, you know? And Kyrou gets to 30 again. Well, because he was able to score some goals on the power play. But there's another level for them to get to, I think, on the power play.
Who do you think will the majority of the games this year, if you had to predict?
Here's the way I'm going to answer that, because I talked about that in the first segment when you were in the green room before I told you you could come
Waiting to be summoned. Thank you, sir, by the way.
Lord. If they were to dress 7 defensemen, then I think Perunovic could be the PP1. If they go with your traditional 6, which is what I would think they would do, 6 and 12 versus 7 and 11. They got a lot of forwards. So you dress forwards, you know. But I wouldn't be surprised if they keep 8 defensemen out of the gate, just in an effort not to lose a player to waivers. I don't think you want to lose that Pierre-Olivier Joseph, too. Like, he's played in the NHL the last couple of years. And maybe you can sneak him through. I don't know. Tucker, you probably sneak through. Perunovic, I don't know if you can sneak him through.
Yeah.
So he's playing with Parayko, by the way, to start training camp, which I think is an interesting message to him. Say, hey, listen, we still believe in you. Let's go. Let's see what you got. See what you got.
I mean, he just gets hurt.
So, well, last year he didn't.
I mean, but he has been.
He's sure he has, yeah. But last year he didn't. So if you dress 7, maybe he does. But I think, let's assume they're going to go with 6, and your defense pairings are set with Parayko and Leddy, Falk and Broberg, and Kessel and Suter right now. Unless Suter shows that he just can't play in preseason, and maybe he's your 7. I don't know.
Yeah.
And maybe Perunovic slides in as your 6, and they need him in the lineup because he has an amazing preseason and has full command of the power play, and they want him quarterbacking. That's how he's going to find his way into the lineup. He's got to show that he's the best option and the overwhelming best option to quarterback the power play for him to be in that top 6, unless they dress 7, if you know what I'm saying. So, listen, if they go with 6, then I think Falk, listen, Justin Falk really hasn't been given that opportunity here in St. Louis. I don't love him as a PP1, but I think he's certainly capable of it. He had a 3-year stretch in Carolina where he scored 15 or more goals. He was one of the most productive power play quarterbacks in the league. Certainly, that was several years ago now. But I think he could certainly do it, and I think Broberg is your guy when it's all said and done, who's going to get that opportunity as well, certainly the quarterback at minimum power play 2. I just don't think they want to throw all of that on Broberg right off the bat. Is say, hey, now you just came from Edmonton, we gave you the contract, now you're going to be quarterback in the power play.
See what he does
so again, if he has a great preseason, then he could certainly
you'll get opportunity in the preseason.
Then they'll easily say,
and I bet you there'll be like 50 penalties right off the bat too.
Always in the first couple of games.
You know,
the referees are
no
in training
flow.
Camp.
Just as the preseason games in the NHL just aren't the same anymore.
Right.
But it is interesting if you're looking and trying to evaluate certain players and whatnot. But you're not going to have a shit show. You know, that was usually pretty fun to watch back in the day. People are complaining, and not to get off the Blues, about Nicky Foligno up in Chicago.
About what?
Him getting the captaincy instead of Bedard. I'm like, that's the most ridiculous thing. Connor's not ready for that. Listen, I don't know exactly what's going on. It doesn't even matter. You have the big boy. He'll talk to everybody after every single practice, after every single game. Put all that on him and let the kid play. All y'all saying that's the most ridiculous thing in the world. My opinion.
For me, it doesn't even matter if Bedard's there. It's the fact that Foligno's there.
Dude, he's a man.
He's like a natural captain.
He is.
And this isn't like, oh, well, I don't know. Well, Bedard, like, whatever. He's 19. This guy is the captain of the team.
He's the captain of the team.
It's so obvious. You see this guy fighting all the time last year, and he's been a captain, obviously, in the past. Listen, this is as much of a slam dunk as I've ever seen.
I know. And I still, maybe I'm just
This is Manute Bol.
I was going to say, man.
Slam dunk,
I mean, come on.
where he doesn't even have to jump. Okay?
7-1, that cat? 7-4?
Like 7-7 or something.
Jeez. Oh, that's right. Then his kids
7,
and whatnot.
Sean Bradley.
Jesus. But anyway, I just saw that when I was coming in here, and I'm like, oh, my God. Like, no. Big Nicky. Just watch some of the clips of him talking to Bedard on the bench, too. He's taking him under his wing.
Yeah.
God, I mean, it's just perfect.
And Bedard doesn't need to be the captain right now. I know he's a great player. And I will say this about Bedard, because coming into last season, I didn't know. But if you watch his highlight reel, like as an 18-year-old kid, it's one of the most impressive highlight reels, especially for an 18-year-old that I've ever seen.
So fun to watch, dude.
Like you forget. Now, if he can And he's got to stay healthy too.
Yeah.
He can't
Don't
be
take
putting
hits.
himself in position to get
Jesus.
hit.
Protect yourself.
And
Spin
to
off
get
a guy.
hurt like that.
I
because
know.
he is like my size.
He's bigger than you.
No,
Can we time out for a second? Your size?
No, he's,
no.
He's jacked, actually.
Yes, his
He's
legs are
jacked.
big. That guy works out,
And
man.
he's jacked.
He's hockey.
I mean, height-wise, dude.
Not even.
He's
probably.
small on the ice.
No, not even compared to you. His legs are gigantic.
He's jacked.
He's got quadzillas. He is so fun to watch. Get your head up. Don't admire your pass on the boards because you know Gudis is going to hit you. Like, my gosh almighty, you got to be able to spin off guys. You got to be able to do what TJ Oshie once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
You're strong enough to do that. Stick your goddamn shoulder into their chest when they try to hit you.
Steen was great at that.
Steiner, there's a lot of guys where you have to be able to protect yourself if you're not a big guy.
Yeah.
That will hurt the defenseman. And then a D-man don't want to hit you anymore because they're expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got an extra step.
Speaking of
Tell
Radko,
Ty to do that too.
Radko Gudis.
Captain.
I love it. Dude.
Love it.
I mean,
He's a warrior.
that is,
God.
you know, that's an example of a guy like Pat Verbeek who just certainly gets it. He understands. Like this guy, he fits no matter where he goes, what team he's the same guy.
Hard to play.
Same player.
Oh, God.
And you know what? It reminds me of like a Garth Butcher being named captain. You know?
But gee, what's up, baby? Good dude.
Years ago. And people are like, who's Garth Butcher? Well, look him up.
Everybody loves Garthy.
They played kind of a similar game.
Gudis kills people.
He just rocks people.
Andy.
Just-
I remember playing against him in the minors.
Yeah.
And being like, God damn.
And
I was worried about him. I tried to hit him one time, and he's so solid, he would knock guys out.
Yeah.
He's horrifying to play
yeah.
against. And he's tough.
He's tough. He's not the best fighter, but
He
like,
got knocked out by BX in the
Yeah.
Superman punch.
Yeah.
That sucked.
but I don't know. I just like to see players who play his style get rewarded and be captains of
agree.
teams. Everyone
agree.
just think you automatically have to give it to Bedard because he's the most skilled player, or you have to give it to your
No.
best player or your most skilled guy.
Nope.
No, give it to your toughest guy sometimes too. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? who plays his ass off
Still gonna
and
play
puts
minutes.
it on the line
Yep.
every single night. I'm not saying tough guy who plays 5 minutes. I'm
No.
saying,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know,
Like you're warrior.
he's a warrior, man.
You're warrior that eats minutes, man. And we had him on the pod, too, by the way. He was really cool. Totally cool guy.
One thing I hope changes, and I talked about this during the intro as well, and I'm curious your take. I just hope the perception of Drew Bannister will change a little bit, and I hope people start to appreciate this guy for being like a really intelligent hockey coach, man. This guy has coached. First off, he played in the league,
Played in the league. Yeah.
and he was a second-round pick.
Yeah.
So he didn't have a long career, but he played. Like, give him some credit,
Damn
right? And sure, he paid his dues and all that, but he also was successful. He was successful in the Ontario League. He was successful in the American League. Took a team to the final in the American League.
Yep. Not easy.
And I know he's not a household name, and I know he doesn't want to play grab ass with the media, and I know he's not trying to put on a comedy show.
Fine. That's fine.
But I think he can coach. You know what I'm saying? And if you look at, all you need to look at is his record when he got here last year. Now,
Yeah.
sometimes you see that anyway, where a coach gets fired and you see that automatic boost. But I think he can coach, and I just hope people will recognize him for that, and I hope he proves a lot of people this season that he belongs, man. That he's where he is supposed to be as a head coach.
I agree with you, and I don't mind that. I do mind that he needs to speak up a little bit in some of these.
I didn't have a problem with that, so I think it's your volume.
Maybe my volume,
Yeah,
because
'cause
he
you
does.
said that.
No way, Andy. He talks soft. And if that's my only criticism, who cares? But
Mhm.
even when he came on board, like they had a really bad game. I think it was in Tampa. Like right off the bat, no one really knows who he is. He's got this team. A lot of the guys have been through a lot. They're
Mhm.
winners or whatnot. They're confident in themselves. You got this young guy coming in, but he sat a couple of the superstars.
He did.
He didn't play well. And
Mhm.
for him to do that, I'm like, interesting. I remember talking about that. But he also has a great coaching staff. And Claude Julien, too. Claude Julien, man, he's a winner. He
Mhm.
knows a lot of hockey. You got Steve Ott. You got a lot of guys, man, that kind of could come together and really control this team in the right way. So, yeah, is he taking shrapnel from people in St. Louis? I don't hear anything.
No, I didn't.
No one's
I
chirping
get
him.
some people text me like, they just.
He's not Hitch, like you said.
He's not.
He's not
Chief.
He's not Chief. Chief has his own style. He is what he is. Just see what he does. You're not you watch him in these press conferences where he has to come and he's trying to explain things. He's kind of tiptoeing around whatever which he has to do.
Mhm.
Are you going to the practices and seeing him practice with the guys?
Mhm.
No. Like if you do, then maybe you'll understand a little bit more how he interacts with all the players. There's a big difference.
Hey, Blue Note Roofing, call David Novak and call him today because this is my
boy.
Absolutely. Gutters, soffit, fascia, roofing, siding. And you can't miss his truck when he's driving around. It's bright yellow and blue. It's got the Blue Note on it.
He bleeds blue.
Blue Note Roofing. And you'll see it on the screen here, too, if you're watching on YouTube. 314-920-5713. Call him today. Let him take care of you. Talk pucks with him because he wants to talk hockey with you, too. Longtime season ticket holder. Loves the game. And this guy is the best in the business. So, David Novak. Nobody does it better than David Novak. Blue Note Roofing. Call him today for your roofing needs. Hail damage? Are we getting any weather coming?
Any hail? Not now, but we did back in May.
Why is hail only come in certain months? May and June.
When was the last time you saw hail in October? Man. You'll see sleet.
Yeah.
But not hail. Hail's formed way up with these huge storm clouds and all this moisture up there, and it falls down.
Okay.
Anyway, good.
So you get hail in May.
Yeah, big time. June. You could get hail in April, May, June, sometimes February, late February, or March, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. We have weird tornadic days.
Yeah.
Where it's 75.
Blue Note Roofing, baby.
You're going to ask me, I'm going to tell you.
But I'm looking forward to the season. And I just
let's go.
Want to get things going. And for all you Toronto fans out there, I actually like Toronto. I like Marner and Matthews. I like all these guys. But sometimes I was just looking at the roster, and that's just,
who cares?
That's just the way I saw it.
Who cares? Cares about an opinion
off the cuff.
Cares
off the cuff.
We have nothing written down. We're just talking. God,
off the cuff. I was just
don't worry about it, Lord.
Although Nylander apparently is playing center, see, like that. There's
he did have a little. He's like, well, that's the old coach or something like that.
I don't know how Chief's going to handle all the earrings and stuff like that. I don't think he cares, but at the same time, it's like, just make sure
I would love to be in that locker room. Just
back it up.
I would love to be in a coach's room, just to hear what Chief's saying, just to hear, just to see how he's evaluating different guys. And
if guys aren't, if guys aren't getting to the puck,
he'll get you
and winning battles.
He'll get you. He's not happy. Sheldon Keefe's different animal.
Don't be losing battles and losing puck races and coming back to the bench with an earring on.
He'll get you. I'm just telling you. He does not play around. We talked about old school. He is still old school, and that's how he's going to be. So we'll see. This is going to be like this, be interesting. They're interesting to talk about. They're interesting to, keep tabs on.
Mm-hmm.
Cares about your opinion. You had an opinion, just like everybody else does. Don't worry about it. You worry about little stupid things. Lord.
Okay.
Kids are healthy. Ty's dominating hockey. You're good. Get on with yourself.
Big games coming up this weekend.
Big games?
Mm-hmm.
College football? Are you talking about
my son's games?
Okay.
Although I feel bad because you never been to Pacific Ice Rink, have you?
I don't think so. The new one that they put up.
It's just.
I know. It's a barn.
It's a
barn
rink
for you, too.
And that's all it is. I feel bad with these teams coming from out of town. That's where
Oh, no.
We were able to get one game moved to Centene because you want to show them that.
Of course, man. You got Blues players cruising around. You got media everywhere. You got alumni. Are you kidding?
I know.
God, we have it nice at Centene. Like, we really, really
So
do.
I don't mind Pacific. It's just different than...
Andy, you hate it. I don't mind Pacific. He hates it. He hates going down south of 270. Who's he kidding? 2 West. He might go to Chesterfield, but he's not going through Fenton or Eureka. He's like, oh my God, where am I?
I go to Fenton almost every single day.
You don't like it though. Fenton's cool.
I like
a lot going on. A good restaurant.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Name one.
The Chop House.
Okay.
Damn right. Homeboy.
Right there in Fenton.
Give it a little shout out. Yeah. Because Corner Butcher. It's my jam right there. Right there. 2099 Bentley Plaza Drive.
You might get fact checked for that too.
Oh, good fact check last time on a podcast, by the way. You really got me.
Oh, I did.
I thought he had a cologne.
Well, that's terrible, dude.
It is.
He's from Cologne.
He's from Cologne.
Will the Blues make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think so. I don't know.
They're kind of balanced.
I don't know. I just think they will. I think Benner's going to have a hell of a season too, and Hofer.
They're better than they were last year, and they weren't bad last year.
They were right there. They had that. I remember going on that trip with them, and then they came back and they just shit the bed a couple games, and they just got deflated. I remember it was a really long trip, and then they had like another game against the Kings or something that they won, and then they lost a couple in a row that they just desperately needed when they were rocking and rolling. I think there was a break or something, and I think they had the break, and they came back and they shit the bed, and they lost all confidence. And you're like, they were right there. Anyway, I hope so. Andy.
First Community brings us hockey sense each and every week. I love First Community, man. And there's no better place to get your auto loan, your home loan. I tell people all the time to get your son or daughter signed up in that Little Blues program. Wouldn't be possible without First Community. Nobody gives back to the local hockey community more so than First Community. They also sponsor the Blues Hall of Fame, which that announcement should come out very, very soon in terms of what the class will look like for 2025. I'm on the committee. I submitted my votes.
Who are they? Who were they?
Can we say? I don't know if I
Who
can
were
say.
they?
You know who I want in there?
Who?
As a builder, I'll say Ron Caron.
Oh, God, yeah. He got us all. He helped get us all in. He was an aggressive, and it was interesting. Now, Scott Stevens, I mean, there's a lot of little things, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Got us all into hockey in the 90s.
Adam Oates.
Yeah. He got us in the Shanahan. Oh, so you're going big dogs.
Well, it's Hall of Fame, buddy.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I mean, I'm just saying, like,
you want me to say?
A guy that maybe played for a long, long time. I'm just trying
Jeff
to think.
Brown, I think.
Maybe. Yeah, because he coached. I'm thinking of this obscure.
Coached?
We coached well, I mean.
This is St. Louis Blues.
So it has nothing to do with what you did after.
It's what you did in a Blues uniform.
Okay.
You had there's certain qualifications you had to have played
what are
here
they?
for a certain number of years and all of that type of stuff.
So we're doing heavies? Okay, then damn right, Adam Oates. Then damn right. What about Nelson
And
Emerson?
he was only here for 3 years.
Nelson Emerson? Trying to think of But so a guy like Butchie, who everybody liked, that didn't put points up, you're not going to.
I don't know.
He was a captain.
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm not saying that I wouldn't vote for them down the line.
Who? Turgeon?
David Backus, Alexander Steen.
Okay. They're getting current. Osh.
Well, he wasn't retired yet.
Okay,
and he still isn't retired.
Okay. But
So
when he is...
he's not qualified for that.
I know. But when he is, so...
Yeah. Got to get those cup guys a little bit.
Okay.
O'Reilly.
I mean, but there's still a lot of guys playing. So,
But Oshie, there's certain guys I would have loved to see Oshie win a cup here in St. Louis.
oh God, yeah, dude.
But at least he got his cup.
See, I didn't know. So it was all what you did specifically
Oshie
on
going to
ice.
Washington, man. Like you can't say that too often. Where it just like he seemed like a perfect fit there.
I know. Yeah, him and Ovi and Tom Wilson and Warm. Like you could tell, like he fit right in with all the guys.
John Carlson.
Yeah, and they just dominated. They gelled right away. That was an awesome team. That was a fun team to watch. I love Ovi. I love watching all Ovi stuff. Even though they're just filming him when he's driving his car and these fans he's just cool as shit. Mm-hmm. I want him to break Greta's record bad.
Hey, August is back to school time for most kids. So if you have a young person in your life going away to school or just left for college, there's a lot to be done. So you want to hook them up with their own checking account, which is important when you go to college, Cam. You got to get a checking account, for your kids. So First Community has a college cashback checking that earns cash back with no minimum balance and no monthly fee. That's pretty good right there. The account
pretty dang good.
Comes with free mobile banking, a free debit card, and if you have your own account at First Community, they can even set you up a cross-account online access so you can help them with their banking even if they're not at home. Doesn't get much better than that. So check that out. Of course, Dirt Cheap Fun Fun, your one-stop party shop. Four Hands Brewing Company, the Cam and Strick Mango Lemonade Hard Seltzer.
Dang good.
Back on the shelves.
It's dang good.
In 4 days.
Yeah,
the 24th, man.
Can I have some?
Yeah,
Just, no. Wait, 1 second to all y'all out there. Andy hoards everything. When we get all this stuff, I'm like, he'll give me like a little 4-pack. I have to conserve that for a month.
Can you put something on your Instagram and your Facebook?
Send it to me.
Back on the shelves?
Send it to me and I will.
Okay.
Maybe Kate and I will go take a picture live with one, getting some.
Well, we'll have some announcements soon. We're going to have some live tastings at different locations throughout the St. Louis. So we'll be doing that very, very soon. So we'll have some dates for you coming up shortly where you can come hang out with us on like a Saturday afternoon.
Let's go. Let's party, baby. Know how to do that.
So looking forward to that. Again, 314 Sports Cards. Devin couldn't join us this week. 9640 Olive Boulevard, best selection of hockey cards you're going to find anywhere. You can maybe even ask for a Cam Janssen card, and they might even have one.
Yeah, baby. I got some cool cards, actually.
Do you?
Yeah. I got one hitting Lucic
Really?
over the boards. It's pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't know.
You should
Hockey
give-
cards were like,
you
I had like
should
a
give
bunch of them.
Ty a card. He collects
Okay.
cards like crazy.
Yeah, hook them up.
Yeah, hook him up with a card.
$20.
Hook him up with a card. 9640 Olive Boulevard. Say hi to Devin. Devin, I believe, is sick today. That's why he's out today. So they're still in great hands with all the incredible staff they have there. And, of course, Blue Note Roofing, man. 314-920-5713. David Novak.
Jesus.
David Novak.
David.
He does what?
Roofing.
Yep.
Siding.
Soffits.
Fascia.
Fascia.
Now, he's a real deal. Loves hockey, man, and a big hockey fan. And he works his ass off, so check him out.
Siding.
Gutters.
Does everything.
So
Huge hockey fan. 314-920-5713. All right, we appreciate everybody's help on this edition of Hockey Sense, including Aiden and everybody here at Half
Thanks,
Coast
Aiden.
Studios. Hockey season is here. We'll be with you all season long.
see you, dudes.
Have a great weekend, St. Louis.